All right, time to film one of my favorite subjects for YouTube. It's a whole category of content: sports. What's that mean to me? Rocks and sports. I call this segment Rocks Sports. What sports am I into? Well, not too many. I enjoy playing many sports when given the opportunity. I'll enjoy playing football, hockey, street hockey, tennis, badminton, volleyball, you name it. Basketball, baseball, all that. I don't mind playing it. But as far as watching it, I'm not a dedicated fan to most sports. However, some of the stuff I'll still watch, maybe enjoy, is NASCAR, monster trucks, destruction derbies, rally. Racing stuff is kind of fun for me, but I'm not into it enough to where I know any of the players, any of the racers, any of that kind of stuff. Boxing, MMA, I love those two sports, and those I will watch, but not enough to where I know who's currently doing their thing. So the one thing I'm into is sports entertainment. And this comes back to being an actor, and my interest in acting, my interest in sports entertainment. That would be wrestling. My background, I grew up watching wrestling in the Attitude Era, which was like the Attitude Era of wrestling, the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. It was about from 1996 to 2002, I would say, is the Attitude Era officially. And I grew up in that as like a teen through that zone, so I got to see all that stuff at the ripe age where it's mostly affecting and impressioning me, and changing the course of my life. So I grew up as an Attitude Era fan. What's it mean? Some of the top stars of the Attitude Era, and I was kind of drawn right to him right off the bat, was The Undertaker, who came from the golden era of wrestling into the Attitude Era. The Undertaker, if you can't tell, one of my greatest influences, inspirations, influences, whatever you want to call it, because I don't know, he's the dark side, and like I've said in other videos, I am drawn to the dark side type characters, the supernatural beings, the larger than life characters, be it in stories, in live action, wrestling, movies, film, TV shows. I tend to always go, and this is just a natural thing for me, it's not just to be cool or anything like that, but I always seem to find the characters I find more interesting are usually the villains. But in the case of wrestling, the characters kind of flip back and forth between good guy and bad guy all the time, or face and heels, which I was on a show called Heels, which is now airing on Stars. Try to find me. I'm somewhere in one of the episodes, so if you can spot Rocks in the show Heels on Stars Network, load up a comment below, and I don't know, maybe you'll win a prize or something from me. So good luck finding me there. Anyway, back to my story. Growing up in the Attitude Era, wrestling being an on-screen drama filled with violence, filled with storytelling, filled with live acting, improv acting on the spot, fascinating to me. The filming side of it, the business side has always been fascinating to me. The filming, what it takes to make a live show. I've always thought like it'd be kind of neat to do something like that, but like on a stage, like theater, instead of the squared ring, give the characters swords and props and special effects to kind of go at it, kind of like in theater, but surrounded from all sides, where the stage is kind of like a wrestling ring where it's in dead center. So I don't know, I always thought that'd be kind of a neat concept, which it's happening anyway. I don't know, I like watching the Terminator Universal Studios live acting thing. That was amazing to me, So that kind of, so growing up in the Attitude Era, I was influenced by, the Beavis and Buttheads. The MTV was very edgy at the time. The music industry was very edgy at the time with your rise of Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie, all the attitude type characters, musicians, heavy heavy metal hitting kind of a weird dark tone on a lot of things. Fear Factory, Static X, to name just a few. Typo Negative, of course, being my number one music influence, and of course they have a dark gothy theme going on. So Attitude was all about heavy tones, dark nature things, breaking the rules. Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of my favorites. Kane, of course, came along. Mankind. I like those characters that are kind of supernatural with the face masks or the cool lighting, the darkness, that kind of thing. The Ministry of Darkness was my favorite faction, above DX, above NWO. I know it's kind of lame. The characters that they put in Ministry of Darkness kind of but if it was like maybe a better cast of characters, it could have been even better. But I liked the concept. I liked the storytelling during that. So that's growing up in the Attitude Era. It's what led me in my prime, turning 17, 18. I just had my friends who were all wrestlers. We'd all get together for pay-per-views. And back then, you'd have to pay like $60 for a pay-per-view. So get 6 friends together, and you only have to pay $10. Get 12 friends together, you don't have to pay $5 at somebody's house. So it was fun. You'd get all your buddies together, and you'd watch a pay-per-view. That was awesome. It was like one of my favorite experiences. And to do that is some of my friends knew a guy who knew a guy who worked the local independent wrestling scene. And we are, of course, coming into age for it. Got me into joining independent wrestling. And that's going to be my next video. If you want to know my story on Rox as an independent wrestler, follow on to the next video, because I'm going to talk about that right now. Like and subscribe to this video, share it if you want to, but click on the other video.